Welcome to the Pre Nup, the wedding-obsessed podcast designed to help you plan your dream day. I'm your host, Adriana, and each week I'm joined by the industry's top professionals, celebs, influencers, and friends who are sharing their best tips, advice, and mistakes they've made so you don't have to. The Pre Nup is a Love Stories TV podcast. Welcome back to the Pre Nup. We are back with my number one gal, my sister, Big Vic.
I'm back.
She's back and ready to recap, as we do. So, as any listener of the Pre Nup podcast knows, when Big Vic comes on, we are going to recap and review a wedding movie. And today, we are recapping 2011's Bridesmaids, which is a personal favorite. I know it's a favorite among most people. It's just a fabulous, fabulous film.
It's a good one.
Not just a wedding film, but a great film all around.
Right.
It's one of the great comedies of our time.
For sure.
There are so many quotes from this movie that are just built into my lexicon that I don't even notice.
Right.
And we wouldn't even be able to do a full episode on Bridesmaids and cover everything we want to cover.
That's true, yes.
So in today's episode, we're going to kind of focus on more of the wedding things of the film.
Right.
But we're still going to have a lot of fun with it because how could you not with Bridesmaids?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get into first the premise of the film. So we'll give a little synopsis.
Go for it.
Okay. When Annie, played by Kristen Wiig's best friend Lillian, played by Maya Rudolph, asks her to be the maid of honor for her wedding, Annie envisions helping plan the perfect day for her childhood best friend. But Annie's idea of the perfect wedding is overshadowed by Lillian's adult best friend, Helen, played by Rose Byrne, who has a more perfect wedding plan in mind, an over-the-top celebration in every way, shape, and form. Annie and Helen's battle for Lillian's affection causes Annie to spiral, and a rift between bride and maid of honor and tension for all. So, Vic, we always do a Rotten Tomatoes guess score. Right. So what was your guess for Rotten Tomatoes?
My audience score, I would say, is 90%.
Okay.
And I guessed 85 for the critic score.
Okay. You were not so far off.
Really?
So,
I'm getting better at this.
You are getting better at this. So the tomato meter was 90%.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the audience score was 63%, which...
That surprises me that the tomato meter was so much higher.
Yeah, it seems a little low to me. And for such a beloved movie, I feel like it should be 100%.
Right?
I kind of find it to be a flawless movie.
It is. It's, yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So good. So some of the themes of the movies are pretty close to probably many brides' hearts, something that a lot of them can relate to.
Oh, for sure.
The big one is really just the delicate balance of dealing with bridesmaids dynamics, which anyone who has bridesmaids kind of can deal with. What has been your personal experience in being either a bridesmaid or maid of honor?
So I was the maid of honor 4 times.
Okay.
I've been a bride.
That's a lot.
It is.
Too many.
Too many.
Yeah.
One too many. I would say overall pleasant experience.
Okay.
But something that, all of them, but something I have noticed, and even when I'm just a bridesmaid, money things are so uncomfortable.
That's the big one.
Finances, and I'm sure we'll touch on that quite a bit in this. That's to me like the main issue of this film is just that Annie's really going through it financially and can't afford a lot.
Yeah, of what's being expected of her.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so interesting that you say that because for couples especially, it gets to be so expensive and oftentimes brides are very overwhelmed with the cost of things and the way they add up. But it is their wedding and there is an expectation that you're going to spend a lot of money. But then when you bring the bridesmaids into it, you have to kind of be cognizant of them spending so much money too. You don't realize how much they're putting out because as a bride, you're putting out so much money.
Right.
But they are too. Like, you know, the Bachelorette Party can be, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 if we're going away somewhere. You know, there's all these other factors on top of the dress and the shower.
I just think you and I don't know if it was mommy and daddy or whatever. We're just very conscious of that. Like everything we do is
budget
and to make sure that people are comfortable.
Yes.
Just to know your audience. A big thing, and you can't fault Annie for everything in this. I felt like Lillian should have been known her audience.
She knows her best friend. Why is she
really
not
financially going through it?
Yeah.
Why? And not even just finances. If you know that your best friend is terrified to fly, why are you putting her on a plane?
Well, we'll get to
touch
that
on
too.
those
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
yes.
There are some things that I'm like,
and it's not totally her fault.
Totally. Yes, we'll get to it. Anyway, so we're going to start with meeting the bridesmaids of the movie. So Lillian has a really solid group of bridesmaids, one from kind of each corner of her life. So we meet, of course, first Annie, who is the protagonist of the film. She's the maid of honor. She's the childhood best friend.
Right.
Then we meet Becca, who is the coworker. She is the infamous, you don't have a husband. Love her. Then we have Rita, who's the cousin, and she is the blonde who's trying to get away from her awful husband and children. Then we have Megan, who is the future sister-in-law. She's just the star of the film. She's so goddamn funny. And then, of course, we have Helen, who is the new adulthood BFF.
Right.
So of the bridesmaids, who is your favorite?
I liked Rita best.
You like Rita best?
I do,
Yeah.
yes. She's just hilarious.
She's so funny.
I only have one son, and he's very young, not the same as her children, who I believe she made a lasagna and one told her to go fuck herself.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't have that issue yet, but
not yet.
To me, she's just funny, and it's like she wants to go to Vegas for the Bachelorette. She's looking for adult conversation.
Yes,
it's
she's a good time
relatable for anyone with children.
Yeah,
Yes.
I totally see that. Yeah, I think I'm somewhere between Becca, because she's just so funny. She's so out to lunch, and Helen is just so funny. Like
Helen is
everything
hilarious.
About her, the fact that her name is Helen Harris III. Like
it's very funny.
I just love her. So it is a group of bridesmaids who are a little bit dynamic. They're from different corners of Lillian's life.
Right.
Do you think the merger of friend groups can work when it comes to these kinds of things?
It depends. I think it can.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't mind mixing people when I think they'll get along.
Right.
Usually you know, as somebody, the coordinator of things, or like these people, your bachelorette, for example.
Yeah.
You know, you have your girlfriends that I've known since they were little girls, whatever. And, you know, girlfriends that you made later in life who I'm close with. I'm like, I'll room with this one.
It's
just
different
make
because
it work.
you're my sister and best friend, and you are kind of an extension of me. But there was a little bit of tension between, nothing dramatic, nothing crazy, but of certain people on, you know, in my bridal party
and I knew
with
the dynamic,
others.
so I was like,
but for you, it was a non-issue. But I guess for the other people
it
involved,
might have been an issue.
Yeah. So when you have, let's say, you know, you have a long-standing friendship with someone, you're friends from when you're kids, and then you both go to college, you meet different friends, and then you only really meet for these kinds of things. It's kind of unsettling to get a peek into one of your friends' lives without you. You see this other side of them, this whole world that exists without you in it, when you feel like you're the closest person to them.
It is strange. My best friend Ashley, I was her maid of honor, and she did our whole like high school core group like as her bridal party.
I thought I was your best friend.
Well, I mean, you're my sister, obviously.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck you, Ash. I'm coming for your spot.
But she had, and I don't think she'll even mind me saying this, there was no falling out or anything. She did have a really close friend from work in her bridal party who I'm like, honestly, I knew her from Ashley saying about her, but I really hadn't ever spent time with her until the Bachelorette. And she came and she was such a trooper. I actually drove up with her. She helped me with her. But honestly, after the wedding, I don't think anyone's heard from her again, Ashley included. Yeah. So it's not like a thing of a falling out. It's just like, sometimes it's so funny that this person was so important to be there at that time. But, you know, things change.
And part of that is, I think a lot of people think, oh, when you get married, you really see who your true friends are.
It wasn't like that at all.
I think in most cases, it feels that way, but it's actually just an evolving of life.
Right.
And when you get married, you're at a certain point in your life where your time becomes a lot more precious and valuable.
Right.
The older you get, the more you realize that. And then you just kind of start to weed people out. But you're still on this kind of cusp of like, oh, I used to party with this person all the time.
Right.
We went out together. And then like I don't want to make them upset. But then you just kind of fall away from each other.
Right.
Any tips on making things not awkward between friend groups? Because you're pretty malleable and you can get along with most people well, especially if you have a little tequila in you.
I was just going to say, my advice would be to have a drink.
Well, what if someone is a sober person?
Have some weed. I'm sorry.
Some weed or some tequila help. But yeah, do you have any tips on
I guess if you're totally sober, like do an icebreaker game or something.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's not like one of a card game, Cards Against Humanity, something like that just opens people up to say something they wouldn't normally say.
Yeah. I think that is spot on, because then you learn people's senses of humor. And
right, and you always get a laugh out of things. Who can't bond over a laugh?
Who can't bond over a laugh? If you can't bond over a laugh, then
get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out. Yes, right. I agree with you 100%.
Yes.
I do really like the aspect of this film, just as a trope of a lot of rom-coms and wedding movies. A lot of times, bridesmaid or maid of honor is pitted against bride, and one of them is being dramatic or bridezilla.
Right.
That this movie does not have that at all. And even though there's a lot of infighting between bridesmaids for the affection of the bride, it is always kind of rooted in wanting the best for the bride and being supportive of her. Even though some of it's a little bit self-serving, they want the top spot. I do still think they love her and want the best for the bride.
I think that Annie in this film just is just totally consumed by her. Like, it's numero uno.
Oh, okay. I don't see it that way.
I did. I just thought, put yourself aside for a second. Like, if your friend is happy, talk shit behind her back like everyone else. Like, her destroying the shower was insane.
That is insane. She's so wrong for that. But other than that, there's a lot that not that I am okaying her behavior, but I can sympathize and see where she's coming from.
She was so excited to talk, the Paris theme of The Bachelorette. And then Helen, that was so dirty what Helen did to, go take her to Paris and acted like it was stupid when Annie brought it up.
Well, we'll get to all that. Mm-hmm. But Annie is really going through it in her life. She's dating the wrong guys. She's living with a set of siblings who are just completely invading her privacy, reading her diary.
Your diary proved very interesting to read.
I love that scene.
It's the best.
You read my journal? I did not know it was your diary. She's working at the mall jewelry store after having lost her business in the recession. So she is really going through it. But despite being unhappy, she is doing her best to be happy for her friend who is kind of thriving. And that's hard to do when you are almost at rock bottom, which we learned she's not quite there yet, even though it seems that way. So I do give her a little grace in that respect.
Of you. Yes.
You don't, though.
I thought she was horribly selfish the whole film.
Okay.
And she loves Lillian for sure, but I love you, for it to work for me. I'm unhappy, not that she wanted to bring Lillian down in any way, but it was just about her. If that was me and I was her and I was in that financial situation, and I would be listen, I don't want to take away from your bachelorette. I just don't have the money right now. I'm going to sit that out, and that money I would have spent toward that.
She tried, though. So she really did try to do things another way. She suggested things.
Her suggestions were ludicrous.
But they were what she was in her wheelhouse for affordability.
Right, and that's why I'm saying, be realistic. You can't ask someone, you can't suggest someone's summer home unless that was the bride's idea, the lake house for the bachelorette. That's so rude. It's not your family's home. It's the bride's family's home.
I disagree. I would say, so we both have best friends, Ash.
Right.
And my best friend, Ash, has a beautiful summer home. It's a family home.
But
if it were an instance where I was pinched, I would have no qualms about calling her parents and being can we use the shore house for
And I wouldn't have qualms about calling Ashley's parents either. We're so close with them. And maybe that was the dynamic there. But to me, it would have to be Ashley's idea to say, Age, I'm not really looking, because your Ashley had a destination wedding. Maybe if she said to you, I'm not really looking to do anything too crazy.
She did say that.
So that's fine to me.
Yeah.
Lillian didn't say that.
Right.
And that was my problem. It's like Annie was just suggesting, let's go to your family's lake house. Like,
well,
that
it's
needs
a
to be
place
her
of
idea.
sentiment for her.
It
It's
makes
something that she
sense.
knows she would love.
It would be lovely. I just wanted Lillian to be the person to put it out there, not Annie. Annie was like, numero uno, I can't afford things, so let's do something that's affordable for me, and I'm going to suggest the bride's family's house. Talk it over with the bride first.
But maybe she did. Maybe they had a conversation about it.
I feel like that would have been nice to show then, because it looked like Annie's just like, "Ooh, how can I do this the cheapest way for me, and let me start thinking about it."
Yeah, I think we are not going to agree on this one. Yeah,
Yes.
we're just going to have to agree
to
to disagree.
disagree.
But I do think that Annie is doing her best. But there is a series of events that begins to occur really early on in the movie. And that is the Annie versus Helen dynamic. So we have the best friend of yore, and then we have the new best friend, and they are both just vying for the bride's attention. That's all they want.
Right.
So I'm going to go through some of the dynamics that we see.
Okay.
So starts at the engagement party.
Which is to my favorite scene of the movie, the speeches at the engagement party.
The speeches at the engagement party. I'm going to say this. The engagement party, super over the top. Annie is like kind of dumbfounded when she sees it, but she's still trying to be positive.
Right.
She's trying to get along with everyone. And she gives a speech that is just a toast.
It was
so
perfect. Yes.
So perfect. But Helen, the new best friend, comes up, has to one-up her, and then things just kind of start to spiral from there.
Right. It's hysterical. Like, it's hysterical. It's the funniest.
Any other
scene.
notes on that?
Just the back and forth comical. I feel like it wouldn't really happen in real life. Like, somebody would have been like, all right, that's enough, and like cut it off, but hilarious.
Okay. So then we get to next thing is the Brazilian steakhouse bridal party brunch.
Right.
So Annie is prides herself on finding new, unique foods and decides that all the bridesmaids should go to this Brazilian steakhouse before shopping for their bridesmaids dresses, which
was also odd to lunch before.
It sounds crazy, but I've been there. Sometimes people aren't thinking that through. But she's so excited about it. Everyone's, really in a positive way. And Helen refuses to eat because it's not good to have a big lunch before a fitting, which is
probably what I would do.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
can't we have lunch after?
Can we have,
Right. Yes.
So I didn't totally disagree with Helen there, but it was just, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, always.
But then, exactly, agreed.
Yeah.
And her face implied that she was skeeved out.
She's being condescending.
Yes.
And you know what? It was a little skeevy. I might not have wanted to eat either. But, you pick at your food, you whatever.
Move it around.
Just be a little friendly.
Right.
Then I just keep feeling bad for Annie because she has these great intentions and she wants to take all the girls to this beautiful bridal shop to try on dresses. But she doesn't realize you need an appointment. And then
look into that. See that? I don't sympathize with her for either of these things. The lunch was like, it's all you can eat. This is cheap for me. And let me not look in. How do you not know that you
So things are very different now than
appointment.
they were in 2011. Now we live on our phones and we have everything on our fingertips and we can just go to the website and find out. Not everywhere even had a website then. This is different times. So I
guess.
I could see
I'm
people
taking it for today and I'm like, this is appalling.
For today, it would be like, why wouldn't you just Google that?
Like,
you
do your homework.
Imbecile. And Google did exist, but I didn't have an iPhone in 2011. Like I wouldn't have just been able to look that up. So I sympathize with her a little bit there, but they're almost not able to get into the store. And then Helen swoops in. She has a connection at the store. They get the royal treatment.
Thank heavens.
But it's like a little jab. It's like, okay, Helen.
Oh,
like,
I could, yes, of
keeps
course.
coming in with these great things. And I'm losing my best friend to this person who can do so much more for her. So it's sad. Then this really rubbed me the wrong way with all of the bridesmaids, and you're probably going to disagree because you're taking the
I'm not Team Helen.
Okay.
I just think that
you can
Annie
be Team Helen. That's okay.
I just think Annie is Team Annie.
Helen's my favorite bridesmaid, and I'm taking Team Annie. Do you know what I mean?
I understand.
It's a dual.
No,
reality.
I gotcha.
So the girls all choose the Fritz Bernays for the dress,
which I have to just stop because I was like, where did I hear? Bernays is a steak sauce now. Or Bernays is...
David, do you know? Is that true?
It is. Let me
So it just makes me laugh whenever I hear it.
I think of a Bernays Mountain Dog, my nephew, Garth. Bernays is a steak sauce. Okay, thanks, David. Yeah, so
which cracks me up. It's Bernays.
It's Bernays. It's unique. It's couture. It's from France.
It's hysterical. What a funny scene.
So the girls all decide on this $800 bridesmaid's dress,
right,
without even consulting with Annie. And there, I say that's Lillian's fault. Like, come for your friend.
I couldn't agree more.
That's wrong.
I couldn't agree more.
This girl can't afford it. Come on, like that.
Right.
That's really wrong. So before we move on to the next trope, I just want to spend a little bit more time at the bridal shop because it's one of the most iconic scenes
of
in
all
movies.
Time. Yes.
I think.
Put down your popcorn, you might get sick.
You
the
might get a little
sweating
sick.
On everyone.
Yes.
To
So
start
everyone
so
gets
nasty.
diarrhea and
Severe
projectile vomit,
vomiting.
food poisoning from the Brazilian
And Becca
steakhouse.
throws up on Rita. Get away from me.
Look away. So that's Daddy's favorite
It's so
line
funny.
scene. Like, he loves this scene of Bridesmaids. And
Right.
it's so cute to watch him watch this scene.
Right.
He loves it so much. Anything bathroom humor is for James.
Top notch.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there she goes. Lillian is shitting in the street, and it's a beautiful scene.
Don't you dare ruin that dress.
It's so good. It's so good. But just to continue with the Helen Annie of it all, this is where you and we kind of got into it a little bit already, but Annie sends a bachelorette email with the lake house suggestion, which I happen to think is a very nice idea. I don't see an issue with it.
It is very nice if Lillian okayed it. So I'm in agreement.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know what Lillian's take on this was, but before she pretty much hits send and then she starts getting an influx of calls.
It's a funny scene.
It's so funny. Helen has already gotten to everyone and convinced them that Vegas is the right choice.
Right.
Yeah. Even though Annie is a scared flyer, which I can relate to. I'm a scared flyer too. I don't like flying, even though
not like that though. I think if you're that
I fly often and it doesn't deter me from flying.
But it seems like she can't get on a plane and had no business doing so.
I am like if left to my own devices, I would be as much as she is. When I start to think about planes too much, I am like, there's a traditional colonial woman on the wing churning butter. Like, I start spiraling.
But you fly. She seems like she should not be on a plane.
But she is, but she shouldn't be.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't end well.
It does not end well. Do you think it's okay to just generally make all bridesmaids fly for a bachelorette party?
Absolutely not.
You don't, even though we did it for both of our bachelorette parties?
We did it, but we didn't hold a gun to anyone's head. Anyone who wanted to join us can join us.
Yes.
And anyone who didn't want to, it wasn't.
So that's
not like
the
we would
consensus.
have been angry
like,
with
if
anyone.
you're planning a bachelorette party, you think
I think you can't ask for too much of people.
Yeah.
I think you should know your audience, know what you're working with, budget it out.
Yeah.
You were very conscious of that planning mine. This is going to cost X amount. Everyone knew what they were paying up front. If you wanted to come. If you can't, no worries.
Yeah. I think where it gets twisted, especially with girls, even very rational, logical ladies, we love you ladies, you can say till you're blue in the face, like, whatever you can do, whatever you're comfortable with. If you can't, don't come. But if one of your friends, and I've seen this happen time and time again, if one of your friends is not able to make it either for time off reasons or financial reasons, there's always this air of, well, she could spend money on that. Well, she could spend time on that, and she won't do it for my bachelorette party.
Right.
And I don't think that's fair to do.
And when I hear people do it, I walk away from the conversation. I don't want to hear anyone say that. It's stupid to me. They're making whatever they can make work, and you should be happy with whoever's there.
I just want to say this. No matter how close you are to someone or how good of friends you are, their money is meant to be spent in the way that they can and want to spend it. So if they are not able to take a lavish trip for your bachelorette party, that does not mean that they don't love you. That doesn't mean that they're a bad friend. They just can't do it for whatever reason. And as a mutual friend, you have to be respectful of that.
And at the same point, what I do is the people who made time and put out money for me,
Yes.
I wanted to reciprocate the best that I could. And if I
you
couldn't make things, I made it up to them another way.
Absolutely. And one of my best friends was not able to make my bachelorette party. She was a bridesmaid. She's a teacher. Like, it just doesn't
always
work for
out.
her. And we went and got manicure pedicures. Like, that was the bachelorette thing, which she didn't have to do. Like,
but she wanted to make you feel special because you made her feel. She was reciprocating.
Exactly. But I would have never expected anything of her. Right. It's just, it is what it is. And she is still to this day one of my best friends. Like, I don't have hard feelings about it. But yeah, I think even though I went to Charleston for my bachelorette party and we had to fly there. I don't live there. I do, now that I'm old, feel a little bit of a way of like, why can't we just do like a
old-fashioned one night somewhere?
Yeah. Even a stay overnight is fine, but I'm like, I'm more into like just getting one night. But on the other hand,
we had so much fun. It was such a nice time. You're only young once. Sometimes people are looking for a trip and
like
something.
Rita. Rita was jonesing for a trip to Vegas.
Right.
I more view bachelorette parties as an excuse for a girls' trip. So
for sure,
it's a good reason to get people together. It doesn't have to be like, we're going to cater to her the whole time and she has to be the princess. Right. Like, everyone can have a little bit of a flexible schedule. Like, people are taking time off and spending a lot of money. Anything to add about bachelorette parties?
I think they could be a bonding thing for sure too.
Yes.
Like, my sister-in-law, who I adore,
Which one?
Had Meg. We had just met right before that. My brother-in-law had just started dating her. We had been in each other's company a few times, and I thought she was sweet. But I, just said, "Listen, I don't know if you want to join us. We're going to Vegas, whatever." She was actually away from work. She jumped on a plane, and we have been so close ever since. We bonded on that trip. It was like,
and we all
shared
got
a bed,
to know
and that's
her.
how everyone loved her. My friends still adore her, and I think that was a really good bonding moment for us.
Definitely.
So.
She was a super trooper. Actually, let's talk about your bachelorette party really quick, because we went to Vegas. We did a day club, a night club, next day day club.
I'm a better day drinker.
And we had a plan for nightclub. We had the promoter set everything up, and you essentially passed away. You were the corpse bride.
Yes.
And we had to resuscitate.
With magic, and that's fitting because it was Harry Potter themed.
It was Harry Potter themed. We had a Harry Potter stripper.
At 8 a.m.
At 8 a.m. No, it wasn't 8 a.m. People wreck me for that. I stand by my decision. I hired a stripper for Tour's bachelorette party, and I had him come before the day club, because at a certain point when you've had a couple drinks and you're having a good time, I didn't want to be okay, we have to be back at the room at this time because I have a special surprise. And it's this nasty stripper that no one actually wants.
Right.
I thought it was a funny way to start the day.
It was hilarious and honestly worked out for shock value because I did not think that was coming.
No.
At that hour, for sure.
Why would a stripper come at 9 a.m.?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a little fun. We spent 15 minutes with him.
Right. He was lovely.
Yeah.
He came in cloak.
He came in cloak. Yeah.
Yes.
He had you hoisted up. We were all screaming, laughing.
It was so hilarious.
It was a really nice start to the day.
Yeah. I did, before he entered, when I knew when I heard the Harry Potter film score, something was about to go down.
You knew he was.
I didn't know, I was like, what's happening that we have the film score playing?
Well, it's so funny. I was like, when you hear the Harry Potter music, it's going to be time for you to come out. And he's like, what's the Harry Potter music? And I was like, I thought you were a Harry Potter stripper. And he's like, I do all kinds of things. I don't know that. I'm like, what the fuck?
Then you misplaced your wallet and blamed him for a second, but it was just right on the bureau.
And, that tracks for me because I misplace a lot of things and I blame other people for it. And it's usually just something that I've misplaced. So I am sorry to the Harry Potter stripper for blaming you for stealing my wallet. You were a lovely man and you were totally respectful.
Right.
Anything else to add about Bachelorette Party?
Just that they're the best. I think that is personalizing it and making it so fun. Like you're saying, it is crazy what we do now, these big trips, and they're so long. But I said I was Maid of Honor a few times. My best friend's husband's big wrestler, shout out Hassett's Morristown. And we did Hassett Mania, and we were all Russell theme. Yours, you're a big Cher fan, the farewell tour. We had, concert teas and,
like
set
going
list
all
itinerary. Me too. And Carla had tears in her eyes with the Cashworth Collegiate Cheer Camp. She was a big cheerleader, and her husband, Carla Cashworth, and, the AA Elite Showcase, you and Alex performing for her. Like, it's so nice. I feel like it's to make the bride feel special. Something
lean
they love.
into something that the bride is really going to care about.
Right.
And just go hard with it. Like, why? Right. As ladies, we do like to kind of lean into those things. Right. And a lot of times guys won't get it, but it's not for them. Right. So they can...
Yes.
Fuck right off with that.
Right.
I just want to give a little nod to the plane scene really quickly because Stove is a king. And there are certain things where I'm like, oh, we need to give a little context to this. But this is such a universal movie. Like, you say stove, are you an appliance? Like, everyone knows what
that's from. Yes.
Yeah. It's just, this is why I love this movie so much. It's so dear to me. And
it's hilarious.
So Annie is very scared flyer. Helen gives her, is it a Xanax that she gives her?
I think so.
She gives her a Xanax. It's not really working. She gives her a little drink to enhance the effects of the Xanax, and it totally turns Annie crazy. She's flopping all over the plane. She's picking fights with the flight attendant. And essentially, they have to land the plane because she's being so misbehaved. They never make it to Vegas.
Right.
And at that point, I'm like, Annie, you're wrong. You're wrong for that. But I am so impressed with Lillian in this scene.
Agreed.
Because Annie has essentially ruined the entire, not essentially, she has completely ruined the entire bachelorette party. And Lillian so graciously says to her, listen, this isn't your thing. Like,
a demotion that was long overdue.
It was she gives her, and not even a demotion of the role of Maid of Honor, but the responsibilities of Maid of Honor.
Right.
She says, Helen's going to handle this stuff. She's good at it. She likes it. It's stressing you out. Clearly, you can't hack it. She shouldn't have to suffer and not have the things that she wants just because Annie is not in the position to do so. I think
if your best friend's life is falling apart, don't expect much from them.
Exactly. And I know that you want to do the things with your best friends. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who can relate to this. Maybe they're the bride and they're in a position to do these wonderful things and they want their best friend with them. But if it's really that important to have them with you,
then pay for them.
Pay, or at least pay a portion, like, this is my gift to you as being a Maid of Honor.
You can't expect somebody to do something they don't have.
Yeah.
It's not right.
It's not right. But I think she is actually very gracious about this.
Agreed.
She acts in an admirable way. If anyone is looking to have a hard conversation, I think they should watch that scene.
Right.
If they're looking to have a hard conversation with their Maid of Honor or someone that they think is not really stepping up to the plate.
For sure.
The next few scenes is really just more of a spiral of Annie. So she kind of confides in Rhodes, who is the cop that she's kind of seeing on the side. She has like one relationship with John Hamm, one relationship with the cop. And she kind of goes to the cop to be like, all right, you want to like go out and bone? I'm, feeling pretty low. But they have a conversation before she blows things up with him that I thought was really funny. So she's telling him what she's done, and he says his sister was Maid of Honor and her hair started falling out because she was just so stressed. It all grew back, but her hair fell out. And I wanted to ask you, because yes, you have been there. You're a Maid of Honor 4 times over. What was one of the more stressful experiences you had as a Maid of Honor?
Speeches, always for me.
Yeah, you really freak with the speeches.
I do. I'm not a great public speaker.
You're actually an excellent public speaker.
I disagree with that. I am well written. I don't think I'm well spoken.
But you read the speech and you're well written and you have a nice presence.
It's nerve wracking, especially because you're the audience. I almost feel like I would be better in front of a group of strangers than like everyone who's near and dear to you. I can't explain it.
I see. I could understand that.
Our family's tough crowd too. Like,
no, I could totally understand that. I will say, if anyone is ever worried about like being funny in a speech or getting the emotion, I am an empath. Invite me to your wedding or have me plan it. Like, I will hoot and holler if you're looking for a laugh. I will cry if you're looking for a tear.
For sure. That's
and it is genuine. Like, it gets me in trouble sometimes because sometimes I'm with people I've never met and we're just crying and, you know.
Right.
But there is going to be someone in the room. If you have a crowd that is just totally dark and rude, like, fuck them. It says more about them than it says about your speech. You worked on it.
I
You
agree.
tried hard.
Right.
And I have to say, I want to give it up to you. If anyone ever needs help with a speech, they should reach out to Vic because she's very good at it.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Your
Thank
speeches,
you.
I've heard all of your, I've been at every wedding you were at Maid of Honor, including my own.
Yes.
And your speeches were amazing.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome very
Yes.
much.
They took a lot out of me.
Yeah.
A couple years off my life.
Yeah,
all
I
of them.
remember you being in a cab on the way home from work, bawling your eyes out the day before Ash's wedding because you were so worked up over the speech.
Right.
The ladies, it's not worth it.
It wasn't done. It was the day before. I was just like, this is too much. I left a big project to somebody who couldn't handle it. I
Yeah.
had to take the day off, which was no problem. It was a culmination of things. I hit my breaking point, had a little nervous breakdown in the cab.
Well, just speaking of taking the day off too, I know we talked a little bit about the financial obligation for bridesmaids, but also the time obligation too. And I love a Friday wedding.
I prefer it just for
Or
not
a Thursday
working currently,
wedding.
but when I was working,
It's hard.
to take a day off is tough.
And for the bridal party specifically, if you are having, you know, a non-weekend wedding, for most careers, some people work weekends and they have to take off
Right.
anyway. But it's not only the day off that they have to take for the wedding, they have to leave work early for the rehearsal. There's a
Right.
lot of time obligation things. They have to take maybe time off for the bachelor or bachelorette parties.
Right.
Things
I
like
mean,
that.
you can't ask someone to take off 2 weeks for your bachelorette party and then keep in mind what you're asking of people.
Yeah.
It's to make your guests comfortable too.
Yes. And the
Right.
day, of course, the day is about you, but if it's only about you, then why are you inviting people? Why not
Right.
just
Do
elope?
it yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Couldn't agree more.
Totally. So another thing Rhodes says in this conversation, the cop, is that he doesn't like weddings to be stressful. If he ever got married, he would want his wedding to be like a circus. He wants a dunk tank with prizes. He wants there to be a guess the bride's weight, which I think
Not a bad idea.
it's a pretty good idea. A circuit, or I'm sorry,
A dunk tank.
carnival wedding.
Yes.
Sounds like a frigging ball.
Ferris wheel pictures. I'm picturing the final scene in Grease.
Oh,
Could you imagine?
could I imagine? Of course. And then the getaway car, Grease Lightning,
Right.
waving off in the
That would
distance.
be something else.
We've brought
Everyone
up Olivia
breaking out
Newton.
into dance.
Oh,
would be
it's
nice, yeah.
gorgeous. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think that's the only time it's acceptable for there to be a surprise for the bride if every guest knows the moves or is a professional
Yes.
dancer and can
Mhm.
perform a little
At least
something
if you could
special.
swing your hips on the fun house. I'll take
Oh
that.
my
I'll just take
God.
that.
Yeah, petition for a carnival wedding. At least a carnival shower.
That would be fun.
That's a good
that would
idea.
be really fun. Yeah.
A Grease theme, preferably.
Yes.
You know, that's
Mhm.
that's a personal vendetta, but
Yeah. I'm all for it.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So then we're going to get into the bridal shower. Now, this is going to hit hard for Annie because she's the maid of honor. She should be planning the bridal shower. And instead, she's receiving an invitation. And that sucks. Like, that really is a blow. But I want to talk about all of the tropes of the shower,
Right.
starting with the invitation. It's this beautiful box. It has a candle. It has a ceramic. Butterflies fly out of the box
Right.
when it arrives. And then we get to the actual shower in which guests are greeted with fresh pink lemonade and then led to a horse where they will ride into the shower on.
Hysterical.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, not really Parisian in any way either. It's just, it's to make it so it's so over the top. And it is ridiculous. You could see why Annie's so upset. It's
Of course.
ridiculous, but it's hysterical.
There is a full chocolate fountain, not just a chocolate fountain the way people think like a fondue. It's an actual like water fountain dripping with chocolate. The favors are little dogs in pink berets.
Right.
I took 9. Yeah. So it's very over the top. There's some awkwardness with Annie and Lillian because, of course, you know, Annie has been demoted. They haven't really spoken much, but it seems like things are going to turn a corner when Lillian starts opening gifts at a shower.
Right.
Before we get into the gifts, Thoughts on the bride opening gifts at a shower?
Display shower, display shower, display shower.
Preach it, sister. Louder for the people in the back.
Display shower. And
Display
preferably just send them right to my house.
Totally. No one wants to see a grown-ass woman open gifts. This is not a child's birthday party.
Right.
This is boring. You're asking a lot of the guests because for the guests, they have to sit with a smile plastered on their face and smile.
And yes, it's
I
too
know
much.
what's on the registry. You sent it to me. I saw it. I picked it online, especially in today's day and age. Like, I already know what you're getting for your gifts. I don't need to see you open dish towels.
Right, and you picked the registry. Are these surprises for you in any way?
And that's the thing.
What?
It's painful for the bride. So the person planning the shower, like, think about the bride. She's going to have to sit there and act surprised and excited about some boring shit that she needs.
Right.
So no, we don't open gifts.
Ridiculous.
I think that there is a time and place for certain things. Let's say, you know, Aunt Sue has a tradition where she gives something and presents the bride with whatever, or, you know, the lingerie thing. I know sometimes
which
people
you did
gift
at home
lingerie.
with me after my shower.
And that, I
which
think
is
that
lovely.
sometimes there's a place for it,
Right.
but, you know, you're not a
I don't want to open up
provocative
my
person.
No, I don't want to open up my lingerie with my mother-in-law sitting next to me.
Yeah, it's
not my
ideal.
idea of a good time. Right.
Although my mother-in-law gifted my sister-in-law her lingerie, which I love my mother-in-law and I love my sister-in-law, and I would say this to their face, so I feel comfortable saying it here. I wouldn't want to wear the lingerie that Lisa Marie gave me when I was Bone and Jake on my honeymoon. It wouldn't be optimal.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
married. I can say that I have sex with my husband. That's allowed.
Shh, Dad might hear.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm going to censor this part. I'm going to get a cut of this episode and I'm going to just cut this part out so that Daddy doesn't hear.
That was
because Dad, no, I would not do that unless, you know, for any circumstance. Even if I plan to have a child one day, it will be the Immaculate Conception. So do not worry about that.
Exactly. That was the only part I didn't like about getting pregnant was my dad knows I had sex now.
Daddy knows, that you're a big whore. So yes, I think we can be in agreement there. No opening gifts at a shower. But Lillian does open the gifts, and she opens this really sweet, beautiful gift from Annie. And it's this box filled with all of Lillian's favorite things from their hometown in Milwaukee. And
Sweet. Yes.
it's covered in all the bands that they used to love. Wilson Phillips is on there because that was their favorite, and all these really cute, beautiful things that you could tell just so touched Lillian. It would touch anybody.
Right.
Especially coming from someone that you know doesn't have the money. Like, something that sentimental really is so valuable.
I agree.
However, it is trumped by Helen's gift, which is a trip to Paris to have a fitting with Lady St. Peshwa Juju.
Yeah.
And that sends Annie into a tizzy. At that point, she just loses her shit.
Which is great for the movie. It's hysterical for us, but in real life, if that happened.
Completely unacceptable.
Yes.
She ruins the shower. The way I would never speak to this woman again.
Because she already ruined your bachelorette party. Now she's ruining your shower too. You're
and
absolutely not invited to my wedding.
I'll say I'm wrong and you're right. Like, there, I'm like, okay, Annie, no, you're a big piece of shit. And that's.
You made this about you now.
She was wrong for that.
Right.
She was so wrong. And she is pretty much disinvited from the wedding at that point.
Yes.
Uninvited, disinvited?
Uninvited.
Okay.
Uninvited. I think is the, I don't know.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I don't know why my brain doesn't work today or really any day. I say that almost every day. So maybe my brain just doesn't work.
Same.
Maybe I'll get a lobotomy. Who knows? Okay. So Annie ruins the shower, and then we realize that she really hits rock bottom. This is actual rock bottom for Annie. So she has no more Lillian. She has no more Rhodes because we didn't really go into it, but he tries to get close to her. She pushes him away. She gets kicked out of her apartment with the siblings.
Right.
She gets fired from her job for calling a 13-year-old a cunt.
Hilarious.
I'm sorry, love stories. You might want to bleep that. And she is no longer John Hamm's number 3.
He's hilarious.
Yeah. John Hamm is the king of this film in so many ways.
I couldn't agree more, yes.
Yeah. So she's really at rock bottom, but She moves in with her mom. She slowly rebuilds. We see her kind of build her life back. And then we get to the day of Lillian's wedding. Fast forward to that. So Annie was uninvited from the wedding, so she's not going to go. But she gets a knock on the door from
Helen Harris III.
Helen Harris III. Lillian's missing. She needs her help. And that's that like final step in validation that Annie needs to kind of like, oh, my best friend needs me. And everyone knows that like I would be the one able to find her.
Right.
And I think that is really what it is the whole time. Like her life is so falling apart and her one constant is that she is this best friend to Lillian.
Right.
And the threat of someone else coming in is like, that's about all she can take. Like she cannot fathom that the only constant in her life is being threatened by someone else.
Yeah.
So that's where my heart breaks for her a little bit.
Right.
But you're right on some of your points about
I stand by how I feel. Yes.
And you should. You should. But long story short, Helen and Annie kind of make amends as much as they can. They're very different people. I don't think they're ever going to be best friends, but they kind of come to some common ground.
They work together, find Lillian.
They find Lillian. Lillian and Annie make amends. Lillian confides in her that this has just been so unbelievably overwhelming since Helen took over. It's just too much. It's gotten too expensive. Her dad can't pay for it. Right. That's something that I think we all talk about budget a lot because we're all always trying to save money. And in today's day and age, it's very common for the couple to, if not paying for the entire wedding, contribute to it. But some people are pretty old school and traditional, and parents pay for the wedding. And I've had parents take out loans for weddings. Like, it's a lot.
It is. It's expensive.
It's expensive. And people don't want to say no to their kid. It's like this one day. I'm going to start crying. Like, this makes me so sad and emotional. But this is a scene in one of the funniest movies that I think a lot of people can really resonate with. And it's just a blip. But she's like, my dad can't afford it. This is just a mess. And it's a very grounding, serious moment.
Right.
But in that moment, Annie is there for her and she's like, this is your wedding day. We're going to get through it. We're going to figure it out because we're together. And like, that's what matters. And everything will fall into place, which is, I find to be very true of weddings. Even when things feel like they're falling to shit, like.
Right. I took that scene more as Annie, like it's going to be okay. Is it? I mean,
it is.
Money doesn't grow on trees. It's nice of you to console your friend, but I mean, you've already ruined 2 of the pre-wedding events.
But we're already here. Like, the last thing you need
it was
is like
a nice way to wrap up the film. Again, I would never speak to Annie again.
I would never speak to Annie again either. But I think these two were more like sisters. You and I got in a big fight before your wedding.
That was completely my fault, though.
That wasn't when you kicked me in the stomach.
No. This, I don't know.
I think
was
it was
really
just
mean.
But that was our last big fight. And that was a while ago.
Yeah.
So.
And that was just me being a brat. You did my whole wedding for me.
I think I was putting a lot of pressure on you.
That was just being a brat. I apologize later. So
I apologize too. I think we were both wrong.
Thank you. That's very big of you.
Thank you. I'm a pretty big person. I'm no big Vic, but I am, a big girl. I'm man enough to admit my wrongdoings. So we end the movie with the wedding ceremony, which I just want to touch on a little bit because
it's hysterical.
It's hysterical. It's beautiful.
Is it?
I think so. It's on a pool.
It appears so, yes.
But bridesmaids, bride and groom are all on their own islands, and it seems that there's no aisle. So I have to wonder how everyone got there. But it's this over-the-top ceremony, but it made me laugh because it's meant to be so wacky and ridiculous. But I'm like, I see shit that is 10 times wackier than this now. Not so much in the weddings that I plan, but
what you say,
like, if you follow Per Feed or Party Slate or any of those, which a lot of people getting married they have these just grandiose, over-the-top weddings. It's pretty funny. And in Helen's last attempt of one-uppery, which it was planned before, so I'll give her a pass on this, she announces Wilson Phillips to perform at the wedding ceremony because it's Lillian's favorite band. And they cut to Lillian sad, and he's like, I'm not paying for that shit, which I love.
Him.
I love. Yeah, so that's kind of where we end this movie. Thoughts?
Hysterical.
Obviously.
Such a good movie, not just
anything like any. So let me ask you this. Because we've gone through many of the tropes and dealings of, you know, being a bridesmaid or maid of honor, what's the most uncomfortable thing that you've dealt with being either a bridesmaid or a maid of honor?
It's money for sure.
Money?
Yes.
Any specific instance, though, anything you could think of that was like, oh shit, that was like a really uncomfortable thing that I just had to do or witnessed?
Friends of mine who stuck me for money.
Okay, yeah. So you've been stiffed as a maid of honor?
Yes.
That's awkward. Yeah.
And they're still my friends, and I didn't call them out on it, but to me, I wouldn't have went about things the way that they went about it, and I was really surprised, and it's just note taken. I'm not gonna, you know. It was uncomfortable. They're still my friends, but note taken again. Like,
yeah, at a certain point, it's like you have to, wait, am I gonna come after this person for the money? Am I going to repeatedly ask? And some people are in a position where they're like, yeah, I am. I would do that. I would say, like, I would be like, hey, this is a friendly reminder. You still haven't paid me.
Right.
And maybe that's bitchy, but
I don't think it's
my
bitchy.
Fucking money.
Yes.
But money is very
so
awkward. And as the maid of honor, that is something that I always say to people before anything is booked. Money up front.
Right.
Nothing gets booked until money's up front. And if you haven't paid me, then unfortunately you're not going to be a part of it.
Right.
And if you want to come on after, we'll see if there's room and you can pay me and we can see if we can
it's
add
hard
you. But
it's hard though when you're giving everybody the price.
Yeah.
And then people are like, I'm not, you know, and then you have to, you're going to go to the 15 people and say, oh, it's actually going to be $45 more. So-and-so doesn't want to come anymore.
The way to do it is uncomfortable, but it's, hey, I want a number for this. This is what the number is going to be with this many people.
Right.
Obviously, it's going to go up a little bit with this many people. Just send me a message now. Give me that number. And then as it goes, you know, it's It's
There's
hard.
a way to
it's
do it.
Easy.
And I'm not saying I did everything right.
No, of course. But I think a lot of people would resonate with that. It's very awkward. It's very uncomfortable. And as the maid of honor, it's like, you want to plan this thing. You want to get it done.
Right.
You need the number. And people have lives. They're busy. They're not getting back to you in the fashion that you would like them to.
Yes.
So, okay. What was a great bridesmaid or maid of honor experience that you had?
I think I touched on them already. Like, just really personalizing bachelorette parties, I think was so fun, and that the brides are so touched by it.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to get through these next couple things, even though we only have a couple more minutes more. But funny things that occur in real weddings that occurred in the movie Bridesmaids. The girls tell Annie at one point that if she doesn't bring a guest to the wedding, people are going to think she's a prostitute.
Hysterical.
And I think there's a lot of pressure for people to bring a date when they're single, but I say if you're single, like, a wedding is one of the best places to meet people.
Exactly. And I don't want to babysit someone that I barely know or that I'm getting to know. I'd rather go alone, personally.
Exactly.
Coming from the person who's been single, 2 weeks her whole life. So
yeah, you are a serial monogamist, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same boyfriend, 7th grade to 12th, 13th, college. Yeah. And then there was some overlap with your current husband. And
yes. And
and
the rest is history.
Yeah. The rest is history. You're married now. We don't have to go into...
Yeah, there was a short sabbatical with my husband, but...
we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay, the going through the shower themes, I thought that was so funny. So Becca recommended a Pixar shower theme, and then Megan recommended Fight Club. But it is so funny because people will try to go so out of the box, and sometimes it's like, that's ridiculous.
Yes.
Like, why would we ever do something so nuts?
Right.
The scene where Annie asks John Hamm to come to the wedding.
Hilarious.
I think that is so relatable. And he's like such a fuckboy. And he's like,
for you
to explain to people what our relationship is. I do just have to note that scene is my favorite in the movie when Annie's trying to make John Hamm jealous because she's like, oh, well, I'll just bring George Glass to the wedding.
That's so funny.
He starts massaging her boob and goes, can this George Glass do this to you?
Probably.
It never ceases to make me laugh.
So funny.
His face, he's just perfect in that.
So funny.
And then things that would never happen in a real wedding. the asking to be maid of honor, I actually really loved this scene when Lillian asks / tells Annie that she's the maid of honor. I think this should be done more in this way, a more casual asking of the maid of honor. You already know you're going to do it. And if on top of that, you want to like do a little something after, but before the formal proposal or in lieu of, let the person know. And she also adds, which I think is so spot on, that everyone should be doing this when they're asking anyone to be a part of their bridal party. She says to her, I know you're going through a lot. I know it's a lot. Are you sure it's okay? Are you sure you want to take this on?
Right.
And that's a good ass friend right there. Like, that's someone who is genuinely like, if you can't, I'm okay. You know,
right. I agree.
I think that's really important to do. What's your favorite part or quote of the movie?
I think my favorite scene that really doesn't like, it's just adding to Annie's misery, but when Becca sets her up and that on a date and she shows up at the guy's house and his son's there and the son is like, my grandma died where you're sitting. Like that whole scene.
Are you afraid of dying? My mom's going to kill you.
Yeah. Are you going to make a baby with my dad? Like
with
that.
My father.
With my father. Do you want to watch me dance? That's
a great scene.
It's hilarious.
Oh my God.
Give him an Oscar.
Give him an Oscar. Right? That kid is so good.
Yes.
Before we end the episode, we are not going to do a premarital counseling session today. We'll save that for the next episode. We have a lot of really good ones. So keep them coming. If you are a listener of the show and you're getting married and you have questions about your wedding or you're having a problem, we do an advice segment called Premarital Counseling where you write in, we keep it anonymous, we give you advice on your questions and queries. So email is in the show notes. And we don't do after party with you because you're a recurring guest, so it would just be redundant. But we are going to start incorporating something new, which is our music draft. So this is a wedding music draft. We are going to go through parts of the wedding and select songs for them. And we're going to do this with any guest who wants to be a part of it. And we are going to have our listeners vote for the winning songs on Instagram. So the winner of this round, those songs will go into the next round.
Love it.
And they will face off with the next selections.
Okay.
And David, if you have anything that you want to add into it, feel free to chirp.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to start with a wedding morning hype song. Vic, you take it away. What's your wedding morning hype song?
I chose Lizzo, Good as Hell.
Good as Hell. Cute. Yeah. I like that.
That's a good one.
Okay. I chose Unwritten, Natasha Bedingfield.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about On the Way to the Ceremony?
I chose White Wedding, Billy Idol.
Wow, I like that because
nice day.
There's a lot of nerves on the wedding.
Like something funny, get you going, move.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I went a little bit of a different direction. I Think I'm in Love by Jessica Simpson.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good one.
It's lovey. It's a bop. It's of the early aughts. It's, it's something to gather the girlies around. So love that song. Mm-hmm. Okay. Song for the parents to walk down the aisle.
I like an instrumental.
I do too.
For anything walking down the aisle.
I agree. I think anything with lyrics can take away from ceremony.
Yes. And this will be interchangeable with my next one. I just love these two songs instrumental.
Okay.
How Deep Is Your Love, an acoustic.
How Deep Is Your Love? Love it. Love it. Oh, that's really nice. I like that. Okay. I chose an instrumental of In My Life by the Beatles.
Oh, I like that too.
It's a goody gumdrop. Mm-hmm. How about for the bridal party to walk down the aisle?
Again, this could be for, parents too, but Your Song, Elton John.
Oh, cute.
Love the instrumental of that as well.
That's really pretty. Mm-hmm. I chose a more modern bop, Golden Hour by, I think it's pronounced Jake. Do you know
Jake,
that?
yeah,
It is Jake? Okay. There's a V in there, and sometimes that confuses me. Thank you, David. How old are you, David?
22.
Okay, David knows the songs. And
I thought it was going to be the older song. I was like, is there?
Yeah. So thank God I have David here to correct me when I'm saying Javake. Okay. That was, okay, yours, for the bride or groom to walk down the aisle.
I picked the one that I walked down the aisle to. I really love instrumental Sky Full of Stars.
It's a great song. That's
yes.
cool.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
It's very pretty.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I chose Celine Dion's To Love You More, instrumental, of course.
Wow.
I'm a Celine stan. Mm-hmm. We just saw Titanic. If anyone hasn't seen it, they have to go see it. What about for the recessional to walk out of the ceremony?
Stevie Wonder, signed, sealed, delivered.
Oh, I almost did Stevie Wonder, not signed, sealed, delivered, but I ended up choosing not Stevie Wonder. I chose You've Made Me So Very Happy by Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Oh, that's a nice one.
That's an old one, David. Do you know that one?
No.
It's You Made Me So Very
Maybe.
Yeah. Shit, I'm aging myself. Okay. You know what? It's good that you're here because, we're getting the Gen Z
comparison.
weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I got to stay on my shit. Jesus
Right.
Christ.
I'm really old school here.
Yeah, for real. Okay. Bridal party entrance.
Gotta Give It Up, Marvin Gaye.
Oh my God. This is so funny. Okay. I chose Signed, Sealed, Delivered Stevie Wonder for the bridal party entrance.
It's a good one. It's that up-tempo start to the song is a
Yeah.
good way to, yes, agreed.
Yeah, gotta get it up. Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. That's really good. Okay, for the bride and groom entrance, what did you choose?
Alive with the Glory of Love, Say Anything.
Oh my God, that's a good one.
It's so good, and it has like a really good wind up. Now announcing for the first time, it's so good with it.
Yes, but only if you're an emo girl.
No, I feel like that wind up is good. It gets everybody out, and then you're moving into, first dance or sitting anyway. I love it.
I love that song.
It's such a beautiful song, too, if you listen to the lyrics.
I think it's about the Holocaust.
It is. He wrote it about his grandparents who both were Holocaust survivors and got through the war. It's really beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Well, before I start crying,
Yes.
I chose Move On Up by Curtis Mayfield, which, David, do you know the song Touch the Sky by Kanye West?
No.
Okay, so even that's
Wow.
And
Now I
like
feel
if
really old.
If I heard it, I think I would recognize
Till
it.
the
Okay.
day I
That's
die,
okay.
I'm going to touch the sky.
Touch
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sky,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
Girl. So that song samples this song. So it's even older than that.
Oh,
This is an
wow.
old song, but it's really good. It's actually what my husband and I walked out to.
Great.
So I love that song. First dance song.
I actually gifted this. It was supposed to be my song to my brother and sister-in-law. Let's Stay Together, Al Green.
Oh, it's
Such a good one. Beautiful words.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a really Al Green king.
Yes.
I chose because this was one of my favorite couples. This is one of my favorite first dances. Had this song. Shout out to them. Come and Get Your Love, Redbone.
Aww.
It was so
Gotta
cute,
chill.
and
That's
it made me
nice.
cry, and just really, really sweet. What about honor dance song? So
Right.
mother son, father daughter, father son, mother daughter, whatever the honor.
Good old Nat King Cole, Unforgettable.
Oh, can't go wrong.
Right.
Can't go wrong.
Yes.
We went really old school with this. I chose Sunny by Bobby Hebb.
Do I know that?
Sunny. Yes,
Oh, I
do.
love that
Yeah.
song. Yes.
Yeah,
Good one.
it's a good
Great.
one.
Yeah.
And then the last song of the night. What did you choose?
Daft Punk, One More Time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I will just preface this. I think it goes without say that I think the last song of the evening has to be Donna Summer's Last Dance. But that I think should be Bible like for everything. But like the pre-last song, I'm gonna go with as last song. So that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
I think Hold On, We're Going Home by Drake.
Oh, that's a good one. That's really nice. Yeah, I
think
like
you
that.
gotta do Rihanna, We Found Love.
Oh, that's a
yes.
good one.
That is
Yes,
a good
great
one,
one.
David.
Put that in as a choice.
Yeah, we're
for
gonna
the-
put in David's choice as well.
Yes.
We
Mhm.
found love. David's choice.
David's choice.
Mhm.
We'll always feature a David's choice. Any other that you want to add in?
For the slow dances, I think anything by Ed Sheeran is
Aw.
probably.
Okay. Do you have
yeah.
a favorite Ed Sheeran?
Oh, damn. The name of the song has not come to mind.
Sing it
but-
for us. I'm kidding.
Yeah, hit us with a little Ed. Hopefully we won't get sued.
My singing is like we were just kids.
Oh, it's a
That's
cute
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
It's
You
nice.
guys know the name?
I'm gonna be honest. David is my king, and I'm obsessed with him. I don't like that song, but it's a
It's
David.
because she's in the wedding world
It's
and
for the
hears it
prep-
too
yeah, yeah,
often.
yeah.
I hear it often. However, I almost regret saying it because David is my king.
Then don't say it.
We'll cut this part out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll snip it. Yeah, and a lot of people do pick it. So if you have picked it, I'm sorry, but most people were not just kids when they fell in love. I've had
Right.
40-year-old couples choose that song, and I'm like, you guys are
Maybe a kid at
Are-
heart.
kid at heart. Yeah, sure. But that's going to conclude our episode. Thank you so much to Big Vic and to David for
Yes,
contributing.
Thank you for having me. Always so fun.
Thank you for coming on. I look forward to seeing you next. And we didn't choose a movie for next,
We didn't.
but I want to go with. Do you want to pick something? Do you have anything that you?
We were saying we wanted to do Wedding Crashers.
I want to.
You want to save that.
Are you up for the challenge? Like, can we do it?
I'm ready for it.
I think it's the most important film
of our time.
So we'll start prepping now. And next episode, listeners, viewers, prepare yourself. We're going to be recapping, not next episode, but next Big Vic featured episode.
We'll be doing Wedding Crashers.
Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
We'll see you later.
See you soon.
Thanks for tuning into the Pre Nup. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform or on the Love Stories TV YouTube channel. Follow at _pre_nup and at Love Stories TV on Instagram for more. Have feedback or suggestions for the next episode? Feel free to reach out to us at podcast@lovestoriestv.com.